With us now, two members of the Texas congressional delegation, Representative Greg Casar and Representative Jasmine Crockett. Thank you both for joining me. Congresswoman Crockett, I want to start with you because you served in the Texas legislature and you're calling for an investigation into the death of Dallas postal worker Eugene Gates. Talk us through that and your fears about what this Death Star bill will do when it takes effect on September 1st.
Yeah, so first of all, it's great to see you, and I'm going to clue the audience in and let them know that while Greg and I sit here both as freshmen in the U.S. House, we actually worked together to fight this bill. Greg was actually serving Austin City Council last term, and I was serving in the Texas House, and they tried to bring this bill not once but twice, and it was really backlash on the larger cities. Greg, coming from Austin, that is a more progressive place, and progressive just means people-centered bills. Unfortunately, we know that those other folk, like Greg Abbott, don't care about people. All they care about is profits. And so what we see is that they are willing to risk people's lives. So we fought against this last session. When I was there, we were able to kill it. Unfortunately, this did go through, and unfortunately, we cannot rely on our state government to do right by the people, and now they wanted to tie the hands of our very capable, large, progressive cities that absolutely want to look out for workers.
And Congressman Casar, you did serve on the Austin City Council, and you led the push for water break ordinances back in 2010. Your sense of why this is happening in Texas, putting lives in danger for the sole purpose of owning the libs?
Unfortunately, Governor Abbott clearly has more concern for his corporate mega donors than for people like Mr. Gates or people like Felipe Pascual, who recently died on a construction site in the Texas heat, where 100-degree days are the norm right now. And before I was a member of Congress, before I was an Austin City Council member, I was a labor organizer. And in 2010, we staged a thirst strike where we stood in front of City Hall and didn't drink water for hours alongside construction workers and their families, people who'd had family members die in the Texas heat. And we successfully got the Austin City Council to pass rest breaks. We then went on to Dallas, to Congresswoman Crockett's town, and got it passed there. And even though Greg Abbott is now on a warpath to remove these sorts of protections, the good news is at the federal level, we have the power to do the same thing we did in 2010, stand up, come together as a grassroots community and demand federal protections so that every Texan and every American has protections from the heat, no matter what Greg Abbott has to say about it.
Well, Congresswoman Crockett, to that point, what, if anything, can be done? Is there the will in Washington to intervene?
I don't know if they have the will on the other side of the aisle, but we can definitely call them out. You can't say that you care about working class folk and then ignore the fact that we have real people dying every single day. I think that we will have a really good opportunity. Both Greg and I serve on the Oversight Committee. I serve on the Subcommittee for Government Operations. And so when we start talking about postal workers, right, we talk about what happened to Mr. Gates. I am pushing for a full-blown investigation. If we can sit there and have hearings about Twitter and Hunter Biden, then we can definitely have a hearing as relates to what happened to Mr. Gates, because he was working and serving us in the public sphere. He was a federal worker, and so this was on our watch. We need to find out exactly what happened, and we need to make sure that those that are working for us feel protected and are actually protected, and we may have a path to be able to have a real conversation about what are we going to do for workers in general when it comes to these extreme weather conditions. Unfortunately, because I am pushing for a hearing on what happened to Mr. Gates, that may provide an opportunity for us to have a larger conversation.
Well, and hopefully that hearing will take place. And Congressman Casar, talk to us about how this moment highlights the urgency for federal labor protections.
Julián, right now, the Biden administration is looking at heat protection rules for the entire country because we have OSHA, which is our federal agency that provides workplace protections, but for so long, corporate interests have pushed back against administrations doing what it is they have to do to keep workers safe. And this is a moment between here and September 1st where we can come together as a community and demand that a federal rule be accelerated to protect us from the heat, because it's going to get worse and worse. We've never seen hotter days in Texas. And then just recently, we had never seen colder ones where we had a winter storm that shut down our entire power grid. We have to take on the climate crisis, but we also have to protect people's lives right now on their job sites, pass a decent minimum wage for people so we don't have a starvation wage, guarantee paid sick days, guarantee that people have equal opportunity to get a decent job, and then protect them from the heat and from storms.
Well, and we will keep following as y'all keep fighting. Thank you to Congressman Greg Casar and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett for joining me.